The dojo has done it. We now have dojo clubs and teams. But before I show you what it looks like, let me just share a little personal story. So, back before the internet, I was in a pretty cool high school team, and we would travel to nationals and that kind of stuff. But the training, all we really had was a math teacher who let us use his room at lunch on certain days of the week. What are kids gonna do in that scenario? Oh, they're gonna go and they're gonna play blitz, right? So that's what we did. The cool part was we actually had like an engine of parents and donors, and they helped us travel to kind of cool events, right? Great events. And I got to meet people and yada yada. That was all great. But the training part of it was miserable because there was no direction and we were left to do things on our own. For example, I got my chess books from the local public library. So really one of the reasons I dreamt of this whole thing, especially with teams, is that I wanted somebody like my high school coach back then, he was maybe, I don't know, an 800 rated player. He wasn't really our coach, he was just the one facilitating the space. I want the ability for that person to be able to use the dojo to say, all right, everybody here on this team is in the dojo. I don't have to be a great teacher. I can just facilitate the use of the dojo, right? And then everyone here can grow. I can provide the space. I can help people get to tournaments. I can help organize a completion of the requirements in the dojo. Makes a coach's task so much more interesting, powerful, right? And you don't need to bring in some GM coach to help these students. They have structure where they are. So that was it, my personal story. And that's why first of all, I know so many other teams out there, elementary teams, junior high school teams, college teams. There's so many places out there where there's not a structure that's set up for the students to use, right? To get better at. And so with this system, you don't need, some big high power coach. Okay, we're also going to talk about clubs, and let's get into it. So we just started this and we already have loads of different clubs. At the moment, we still don't have teams, but it will look the same. So we got all these different clubs, and let me talk a little bit about clubs. So the purpose of having a club is in many ways different from having a team. For example, here in Baltimore, we have a Baltimore club. This will allow players who might not even know that they're in the same area to know who they are, get together, and that can be both a social thing as well as a sparring thing. We also have groups in here already, even though it's just a couple days old. We have a German group, and the German group, understandably, as well as the French group, might want to get together and study, do postmortems, and talk in their native language. Great, right? That's another example of how people can get together. We even have an ADHD dojo suddenly, right? We have all of these different groups. And so this is the ability for like-minded people to get together and kind of track their progress, maybe be a little competitive about it. Okay. Now, why don't I just click on one of these clubs? They're all very new. Here's the European club. This has 42 members. It happened instantly. An example of a club, actually, the European club, a lot of times the Europeans, when they're looking for sparring partners at the dojo, they're like, oh, those Americans are different time zone. So the use of this club is really like, oh, I can find maybe some sparring partners within my own time zone. But let's just use this as a test so you can see what it's like. You can see all of the different ratings, the cohorts people are in, the start rating, current rating, rating change, and you can do cool stuff. Look, I can go like this, and that's a list of all of the rating changes from the best all the way down, right, to a couple people who've lost points, right? By the normalized FIDE rating, right? Fine. By the dojo score. In a lot of ways, this is, when I imagine my high school team, this is the one I like the best, because Here you would have a sense of what are people doing and how can I help them as a coach or as a friend, cohort member, how can I help them get to the next level? Are they still needing to do stuff that I haven't done, right? And you can see here, also you can say how much time they've spent. We got 621 hours, 550, 270, and so on, right? So this gives a club and a team the ability to track who's doing what, what's getting done. And the beauty of a lot of the entire dojo, but then I'm hoping also the clubs and the teams, is there's an element of competition to this. And beautiful. A little bit of competition goes a long way, especially when you need that final push to make it to the next level. Starting the clubs is very easy. Boom. I joined. I didn't mean to join that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to join the European dojo. I don't belong there. I meant to hit create club. And here you put a name, a description, the city and the state. And also it's really important, you can put yourself as unlisted or require approval to join, right? You might want to check, let's say you're a women's group, might want to check if they're actually, if it's a part of they belong in the group. Okay, so that is the clubs and the teams. I'm really pumped about it. We are going to have some features coming soon as well. We're going to have a news feed within a club so you can see what is the latest activity within the club. There's going to be messages between club members and so on. So this is just the beginning. And again, it's like a twofold dream, just using the beautiful UI that we have here to facilitate clubs who have the social and sparring aspect, and then teams where really I'm hoping especially scholastic teams can get together and use the scoreboard and the training program to make their team more competitive. So there it is, clubs and teams from the dojo.